Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. Season 10 for Division 2 is finally here, and today we're going to take a look at the top 3 best DPS solo builds that you can use in the game right now. One of the best things about the Division franchise is it gives you the ability to choose the way you want to play. Each build that we look at today has its own play style, and it's also going to offer the efficiency and consistency that we need to tackle all of the endgame content that the game offers. I hope you guys are ready, because these are the top 3 best solo DPS builds in Season 10. The first build today utilizes one of the best gear sets in the game that was introduced in Season 9, the Heartbreaker gear set. This is easily one of the best gear sets for overall damage and survivability. The Heartbreaker gear set works by applying stacks to your targets. As you continue to apply these stacks, your bonus armor and weapon damage are going to increase simultaneously. I have to say, this gear set pairs very well with the Catharsis exotic mask. The reason this build is so powerful is because you are applying bonus armor to yourself and gaining weapon damage back at the same time the more aggressive you are. Keep in mind, as you continue to take damage from NPCs, you are increasing your weapon damage even further with the Catharsis mask. If you are looking for incredible survivability and lots of weapon damage for higher difficulties during endgame, the Heartbreaker build may just be the option for you. Specialization you'll want to use on your Heartbreaker setup is Technician. Not only does this specialization give us an extra skill tier on our build, we also get access, most importantly, to the linked laser pointer. The Technician laser pointer pulses targets at which it's aimed. Most important thing to remember is to make sure you have your rifle damage active in your specialization tree. This is going to give you access to that linked laser pointer that we discussed earlier. In addition to that, make sure you have that extra 15% assault rifle and shotgun damage activated. For our primary weapon, we are using one of the highest DPS weapons in the game, the named assault rifle, the Kingbreaker. You can see here my Kingbreaker has 113.4k total damage, 650 RPM with 50 rounds in the magazine. Thanks to our expertise, we were able to add 13% extra weapon damage to this weapon. Our attributes are fully maxed out: max assault rifle damage, max health damage, and max damage to targets out of cover. This named assault rifle has perfect flatline, which amplifies our weapon damage by 20% to pulsed enemies. After 2 kills, applies pulse to the next enemy that you hit. For the attachments, I'm using the sturdy extended 7.62 mag for 20 extra rounds. We do lose 10% reload speed. We have the rugged mini reflex sight for an additional 5% crit hit chance. We also have the linked laser pointer to help us pulse these enemies so we can do extra damage with perfect flatline. And last but not least, a muzzle brake for extra 5% crit hit chance. The fastest way to apply Heartbreaker stacks is to use an ACS-12 shotgun as your secondary. You can see here mine has 262.3k total damage, 300 RPM, and 20 rounds in the magazine. We have 15% shotgun damage, 12% damage to armor, and 10% damage to targets out of cover. We have Flatline as the talent on our secondary. Flatline amplifies weapon damage by 15% to pulsed enemies. After 3 kills, applies pulse to the next enemy that you hit. For my pistol, I'm using the TDI card custom named high-end pistol that actually gives you an additional skill tier. As long as you have this weapon out, you will have an extra skill tier on your build, making your skills even stronger. For our gear pieces, we have the exotic Catharsis mask, 4-piece Heartbreaker, and Fenris gloves. The Catharsis exotic mask comes with a blue 170k armor core attribute. We have 14% extra armor on this piece thanks to our expertise, max incoming repairs, max armor regen, a 6% crit hit chance mod, and what makes this mask so incredible is the talent Vicious Cycle. Taking damage builds stacks to a cap of 30. Each stack grants 1% weapon damage. Taking damage at max stacks triggers a purge, removing all stacks and status effects, and then dropping a healing cloud which restores 5% of max armor for 10 seconds to all allies in the cloud. As I mentioned earlier, we have 4 pieces of the Heartbreaker gear set on. 2 pieces gives us 15% assault rifle and LMG damage. The 3-piece bonus gives us an additional 15% weapon handling, and the main reason why this gear set is so amazing is the Heartstopper talent. Headshots apply pulse for 5 seconds. Weapon hits on pulsed enemies adds a stack of 1% bonus armor and 1% damage to pulsed enemies, up to max of 50 stacks. 2 stacks are lost each second. Keep in mind, when you use the chest piece, you get an additional bonus on your build. Max BPM increases max stacks for Heartstopper from 50 to 100. Our chest piece has max armor, max crit hit damage, and max crit hit chance. We are using a Heartbreaker holster with max armor and max crit hit damage. We have a Heartbreaker backpack with max armor, max crit hit damage, a max crit chance mod, and similar to our chest piece, we get an additional talent on our setup, Cold, which increases total bonus armor gain per stack of Heartstopper from 1% to 2%. For our gloves, we have Fenris Group AB giving us 10% additional assault rifle damage on our build. We have max 15% weapon damage, 12% crit hit damage, and 6% crit hit chance. And last but not least, Heartbreaker knee pads with max armor and max crit hit damage. One of my favorite skills in Season 10, especially after the introduction of the expertise system, is the Defender Drone. My Defender Drone is currently expertise level 14. If we look closely here, we get 29.8, almost 30% damage reduction in PvP as long as this Defender Drone is active. It's 14.9% in PvP. For my second skill, I am using Riot Foam. This works especially well against bosses, and since we are using the Technician specialization and we are getting that extra skill tier, we get an extra chem for our Riot Foam chem launcher. So as you can see here, collectively we have 1.7 million armor. Our Kingbreaker has 44% crit hit chance, 105 crit hit damage. This build will give you extremely high survivability and the chance to stack a significant amount of weapon damage on your targets. This is definitely one of the best PvE solo builds in Division 2. The next build on our list today, honestly, one of the best approaches for endgame especially, is an all-red DPS build. This build is a completely different playstyle compared to the more aggressive Heartbreaker approach that we saw earlier. Now, even though we are stacking as much weapon damage as possible on this build, we are actually not even using glass cannon on this setup. I believe personally with a build like this, it's much more beneficial to trade off that damage for extra survivability. I believe the Unbreakable Vigilance talent combination is one of the best choices for an all-red DPS setup similar to ours. Since you do sacrifice a decent amount of survivability on this setup, it's best to use a shield for an extra line of defense. This build works extremely well at range, so you can take advantage of one of the best snipers in Division 2, the Nemesis Exotic Sniper Rifle. For the specialization, I really like using Sharpshooter because you get 15% extra stability on your primary weapon, extra headshot damage with marksman rifles, and you also gain access to the flashbang grenade. For my primary weapon, I am using the FAMAS, my favorite assault rifle in Division 2, extremely fast RPM. We have 112.7k total damage, an extra 15% weapon damage thanks to our expertise. Our attributes are almost maxed out, and we are also taking advantage of one of the best DPS talents in Division 2, Optimist. Weapon damage is increased by 3% for every 10% ammunition missing from the magazine. For the FAMAS, we are using the Stalker camo, the Sturdy Extended 5.56 magazine, which gives us 20 extra rounds, the Rugged Mini Reflex Sight for 5% extra crit hit chance, a laser pointer for 5% crit hit chance, and a flash hider for an extra 5% critical hit damage. For my secondary, I am using the Nemesis Exotic Rifle, easily one of the best exotics in Division 2. You can do a lot of damage with this weapon, and it works incredibly well for a build like this. You can see here we have 2.2 million total damage with this sniper, and the electromagnetic accelerator talent, shots fired, deals 0 to 100% weapon damage based on how long the trigger is held before releasing. So the longer you hold ADS with the sniper, the more damage you will do. For the pistol, it's completely up to you. You can see here I'm using the Orbit. The Busy Little Bee, which is actually a new exotic that was introduced in Season 10, is also an option. If you already know what this does, then you're most likely already using it. If not, we're actually going to save this for a different video. For the mask, I am using the exotic COYOTE'S mask, one of the best in slot exotics for a DPS build. We have max weapon damage, 13% extra armor thanks to our expertise, max crit chance, max crit hit damage, a max crit hit damage mod, and the reason this mask is so great for a build like this one is the Pack Instincts talent. You and all allies gain a bonus based on the distance of the last enemy you hit. 0 to 15 meters, we get an extra 25% critical hit damage. 15 to 25 meters, we get 10% crit chance and 10% crit hit damage. And 25 meters plus, we get 25% critical hit chance. For the chest piece, we are using Fenris Group AB, which is giving us an additional 10% assault rifle damage on our build. We have max weapon damage, max crit chance, max crit hit damage, a max crit hit damage mod. For the talent, we are using Unbreakable. I prefer this talent over Glass Cannon. I think the survivability is a lot better for you. Unbreakable, when your armor is depleted, repair 95% of your armor. Cooldown is 60 seconds. We are using a Seska holster, which gives us an additional 10% crit hit chance on our build. We have max weapon damage, max crit hit damage, and max critical hit chance. We are using a Grupo Sombra backpack, which gives us 15% critical hit damage. We have max weapon damage, 12% extra armor because of our expertise, max crit hit damage, max crit chance, a max crit hit damage mod, and we are using Vigilance as our talent for our backpack. Vigilance increases total weapon damage by 25%. Taking damage disables this buff for 4 seconds. This is another reason why I like to use the shield on this build, because as long as your shield is up and the NPCs are shooting you in the body, Vigilance is always going to stay activated. We're using Contractors named high-end gloves, which give us 15% weapon damage. We have 8% damage to armor. That's really the main reason we're using these. That 8% damage to armor attribute is going to give you a lot more damage on your build, trust me. And we have an extra 12% critical hit damage. Last but certainly not least, we are using the Fox's Prayer high-end knee pads. These are a great addition to pretty much every DPS build in the game because of that 8% damage to targets out of cover. In addition to that, we have 15% weapon damage, an extra 12% armor on our build, and 12% critical hit damage. For the skills, I'm using a decoy, and then for the second skill, we are using the defender drone. Like I mentioned in the previous build, this is one of my favorite skills this patch. I have mine expertise level 14 at the moment, which gives us 23.8% damage reduction in PvE and almost 12% damage reduction in PvP. So collectively on this build, we have 54 critical hit chance and 173 critical hit damage. Keep in mind, our crit chance is going to be max 99% of the time, and our critical hit damage is going to be increasing as well because we have the COYOTE'S exotic mask on this build. If you're looking for a build that has a significant amount of damage and you want to be extremely deadly for endgame, then this build is definitely the option for you. The last build on our list today utilizes one of the best exotic backpacks in the game. As you can see in the gameplay footage, we are stacking tons of bonus armor, extra weapon damage, and skill efficiency. This is made possible by equipping the Memento exotic backpack. I really enjoy using Technician as my specialization for this build because the extra skill tier you are getting from the Memento exotic backpack, on top of the extra skill tier that you are getting from the specialization tree, we can take advantage of the laser pointer that we went over earlier with the Heartbreaker build. This build is going to make you feel unstoppable, and you will do a lot of damage, especially at max stacks with the Memento. Similar to the Heartbreaker build that we went over earlier, this build requires you to be extremely aggressive. You want to make sure you are picking up these trophies because they are going to help you build stacks for weapon damage, bonus armor, and overall skill efficiency. Once you reach max stacks, you'll have armor regen, tons of extra damage, and it's the main reason why the Memento is one of the best exotics in Division 2. I think the Technician specialization is going to be the best option for a build like mine. The reason for this is you get the extra skill tier on the build, which makes your skills more efficient. You will gain the ability to activate the linked laser pointer, which helps us activate Flatline, and Spotter, which are the main sources of damage on the build. What's also great about Technician, you do extra damage to robotics and drones, which is extremely effective against the Black Tusk. The primary weapon we are using on this build is a Police M4 high-end assault rifle. I like this gun because it's comparable to the FAMAS very fast RPM, which leads to a faster time to kill. At 1.8 million armor, our Police M4 is doing a total of 85.8k damage. We have 850 RPM, 50 rounds in the magazine. I actually love this gun so much that I added an extra 15% weapon damage. Spent a lot of materials on this one, but trust me, it's definitely worth it. We have max assault rifle damage, max health damage, and 10% damage to targets out of cover. The best talent to use in this situation would be Flatline. Amplifies weapon damage by 15% to pulsed enemies. After 3 kills, applies pulse to the next enemy that you hit. For our secondary, we are using the exotic Scorpio shotgun. This is one of the best exotics in the game. You can apply a lot of status effects on your target. This exotic has a talent called Septic Shock. Shooting a target applies stacks of venom, which lasts for 10 seconds. Increasing stacks adds more severe debuffs to the target. For my pistol, I am using the TDI card custom. This named pistol actually gives you an additional skill tier on your build as long as you have the pistol in your hand. You can see here for the first gear piece, we are using the Chill Out mask. This is a Gilligard named mask. We get that 5% total armor from the brand set bonus. We get a max armor core attribute. That extra 5% armor is going to help us achieve 1.8 million armor on the build with 2 reds. In addition to that, we have the ability to now add 2 mod slots to our mask. We have max crit hit damage, a max crit chance mod, and a max 12% crit hit damage mod. For the chest piece, since assault rifles are so amazing, we are using Fenris Group AB, which gives us 10% additional assault rifle damage. We have max armor, we have max crit hit damage, max crit chance, a max crit hit damage mod, and we have Spotter as our chest piece talent. Spotter amplifies total weapon and skill damage by 15% to pulsed enemies. We have a Seska holster for 10% extra critical hit chance, max armor core attribute, 10% additional armor, max crit hit damage, and max crit hit chance. Next up, we have the best piece on this build, the Memento exotic backpack. This exotic actually comes with 3 core attributes. You get weapon damage, armor, and an additional skill tier. We have a max crit hit damage mod, and kill confirmed is the reason why this exotic is best in slot. Enemies you kill drop a trophy on death. For every red that you have on your build, you will gain 5% additional weapon damage. Since we have 2 reds on this build, every time we pick up a trophy, we get 10% extra weapon damage. We also have 5 blue core attributes on this build, which means every time we pick up a trophy, we get 50% bonus armor. The 2 skill tiers we have give us 10% skill efficiency every time we pick up a trophy. And that's not even the best part. Once you reach max stacks, you also gain additional armor regen, weapon damage, and skill efficiency. This is easily one of the best exotics in Division 2. We have Grupo Sombra gloves, which give us 15% critical hit damage. We have max armor, 10% additional armor, 12% critical hit damage, and max crit hit chance. And lastly, we have the Fox's Prayer high-end named knee pads with max weapon damage, 12% additional armor, 8% damage to targets out of cover, and max critical hit damage. For the skills, I highly recommend giving the Stinger Hive a try. It works incredibly well with the Memento exotic backpack, which means every time we are picking up trophies, the skill efficiency on our Stinger Hive is increasing, which means additional status effects, a shorter cooldown, extra damage, and duration. Also, if you remember, Spotter is going to amplify our weapon and skill damage by 15% to pulsed enemies. And for the second skill, we have the Defender Drone Expertise 14, almost 36% damage reduction in PvE, and we have almost 18% for PvP. So overall, you saw the gear pieces. We have 1.8 million armor on this build. Our Police M4 has 54% critical hit chance and 156% critical hit damage. If you're looking for a build with extremely high survivability, lots of amplified damage, and a very fun way to play the game, this is definitely going to be the build for you. Well, there you have it, guys. Those are the top 3 PvE solo DPS builds in Season 10. If you guys enjoyed the video in any way, shape, or form, a thumbs up would be greatly appreciated. If you're new to the channel and you want to see more videos just like this one, make sure you subscribe, become a part of the family, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks again.